Thank you very much, Veli, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our third out of 4 matches we have for you here today. Should be an interesting one, too. A lot of interesting factors going into play for this one. DarkZero going up against Oxygen on a map that we haven't seen DarkZero play on since January. Stokes, let's get your first take on that.
Well, I mean, there's something in the cards. Let's be honest. DarkZero is a team that is very calculated in what they're doing. They've always had a lot of structure to that team. And I mean, if you can't tell from how the org runs, I mean, I don't know what to really tell you. So there's a reason that they're taking this team to Clubhouse. I'm excited to see what it is because
right, Stokes,
as you said, don't really have too much.
So I'm going to let I gave you a couple seconds there to get your point out, but I got to jump in now in the awkward chance you stop talking.
I think it's fixed. Can you hear me now?
There you go. It's fixed now.
Okay,
So
sorry about that.
Sorry if I
There was a couple
interrupted
of
you
different
there, but I
things
just didn't want to run the risk of us having some dead air. But hopefully we got that all fixed. We can hear each other now, and we can get ready for this epic matchup here between these two teams. DarkZero solidifying nearly, and I think in fact every single win they've had this stage so far in overtime. Oxygen struggling, but still with a chance to make it to Mexico if they can come out on top, firstly, of this matchup, and more importantly, in regulation time.
Well, production let me know that I was heard on broadcast, so we at least got that, John. We got it out in the air, and that's all that matters. But just the skinny version, I'm really excited for what DarkZero have to offer here. It's got to be in the cards. This is something that you and I have known for about DarkZero for a very, very long time. They're a very structured team, so there's definitely a reason that they're taking him here. We just got to find out what it is. As for Oxygen, I mean, they're 0-3 in their last games, and the only teams that they've beat this stage are the bottom teams in the league, so it's really hard to root for them right now.
It should honestly be a map that, in my opinion, works out really well for DarkZero's playstyle. DarkZero over the past couple weeks have been playing this incredibly all-in style to at least their attack, and that's been a large part of the reason why we've been going to OT, but I think here on Clubhouse it plays in really well. We'll talk more about that in a minute, though, as we've got our community poll question. We got two former teammates clashing against each other once again. Will Vertical or Eclipse pick up the most frags in this match? Be sure to go head over to our social channels, including our Twitter at R6 Esports NA here in the Twitch chat, or as well, you can check out our new Twitter account too. It's brand new. We just set it up a couple of weeks ago. If you guys are interested in going to submit your vote there or just check out our Instagram, you can go head over to at R6 Esports NA and be sure to follow us on there as well.
Yeah, always some fresh memes being baked up by the social team. So make sure you guys are always keeping the TL hot with that. But as you said, still plenty of stuff to talk about with these teams, and especially for Oxygen's sake, John. I mean, their history so far inside of this stage has not been the greatest, like we were talking about before. 0-3 in the past 3 games. I mean, they've had some close ones. They haven't had a 7-8 up against DG on Cafe, but outside of that, it's been basically a stomp. Only 4 rounds procured in the other 2 games up against the Sonics on Chalet and SSG on Chalet. Most of you probably didn't watch that because it was a 1-7, so the people that usually go see it on YouTube and stuff like that probably didn't end up seeing it, but yeah, they basically just waxed them and moved on with their day. Besides that, we already talked about how, you know, the bottom 2 teams this stage are the only teams that they beat. They beat XSET on Oregon 7-2, and they also beat Beast Coast on Coastline, but that one was a heck of a lot closer, and it was an 8-7.
It's also important to note there's still playoff contentions in regards to this matchup. The analyst desk already talked about it, but just to remind you guys one final time, if OXG wins this match in regulation, they still have a chance to go through and qualify for the major final. They will have to win it in regulation, though. If it goes to OT, it will not work.
It does not work if they go to OT, so that might be some trouble up ahead here for DarkZero, but we'll have to see exactly what's going to happen for them. But we're almost through the ban phase now here, folks, so we can start getting into what's happening here on Clubhouse. The biggest thing standing out to everyone at home, I'm sure, has got to be the Buck ban. Everything else makes sense across the board. We'll see what Oxygen wants to slide in here for this last defensive ban. Just give them a second. We'll figure out exactly what it is. It's going to be the Mira, so that one pretty self-explanatory as well. But the Buck, some soft destruction being removed here, and I honestly really like this ban. It makes it to where you can abuse Clubhouse a lot less, especially from those vertical angles. A big thing for a lot of teams is abusing those angles from underneath and Jim, as well as, you know, stock or cash as well, like from the stock angles down below with that skeleton key. So removing that, you know, variable from the offense, just making things a little bit more linear overall.
Even countering out certain things like the SSG roam that you can have held upstairs inside of Logi against a basement take, that can also be problematic, and a buck can help out to at least open up more of a view on that, if not directly contest against it. Either way, though, getting past the initial picks, we've got the basement site up on bat here for OXG. A fairly heavy roam composition coming into the lineup here, although we do get the mute jammers on Lax, and it's probably going to block off access to the walls. Safe from that, though, there's a lot of aggressive play potential that could come out here for OXG, so let's take a deeper look at exactly what they're going to do.
Most definitely a roam setup here for Oxygen. They're going to use Kino's traps upstairs and probably start applying some of Fox's Grishmots down low just in case DarkZero want to rush things out. And those are going to slow down a lot of people, as we all know. Those things can be very, very annoying, and if everyone wants to crowd on top of each other and try and run through a door, it'll hit multiple people as well. So makes it a lot easier for Fox to try and hold down the basement alone or just with one extra person. But you can see they want to litter this entire area as well, and he's actually going to be forward with these as well. So a lot of utility dedicated to this roam. I just want to see if he tries to stick one down low, maybe around dirt, but either way, lots of traps to try and help out these roamers and prolong this roam clear for DarkZero.
Still going to be a very slow opening few seconds of the game as DarkZero continue to work their way into the building very slowly here. Panba the first inside by Strip. He's got some support from BC, but that's coming from up on top, so it's going to be a while before he's actually grouped up with them. Panba more so just taking those first steps on his own. We'll eventually get grouped up a few moments later here. Foxe as well, still doing exploration up on the first floor, trying to see if he can catch any of this early aggression, but so far no success in that regard. DarkZero still actually working on opening the second floor access for themselves here, as they're going to use some hard breach in order to make that job a bit easier.
Well, so far so good for DarkZero. Haven't ran into too many obstacles as they're beginning to clear of the top floor. Oxygen, though, still have roamers on the middle floor. Nobody on the top floor, all except for someone seemingly inside of Rafters. That's going to be Vertical, that's supported by Yaga inside of Secret, but they still have to worry about Foxe inside of Kitchen as well. And I love this setup that they're going with overall, supporting their trappers, or supporting the roam game with the trappers on defense, keeping Kino down low to make sure that he can continually get those Legion mines stacked up. I mean, it's a lot easier to play with Foxe in a riskier position here because of that. The more utility you're able to get down as Kino, the better. And the delay is immaculate right now for this defense. DarkZero are doing a bang-up job, though, of starting to clear out with their info. And that's going to start off with this hologram. Runs right inside a kitchen and gets some verticality, or at least aware of the verticality here on the kitchen door.
A little under half the round remaining. DarkZero putting their best foot forward and able to get some initial control specifically towards the first floor, but now a lot of work to do if they want to transition it downstairs with the appropriate amount of time left on the clock here. Panba has some intel as to the main stairs play currently going on for Kino at the bottom there. Other than that, you still have Foxe as well, causing problems from inside of the first floor. Going to quickly throw a Gashmot outside so we can continue to delay from this position. Flash going to possibly send him out that door, but he holds himself back by only a couple feet. Finally commits to the run out, though. And that's where Eclipse is going to be able to shut him down, bringing us down to a 5v4, finally putting DarkZero on the board. But again, more delay. This is fine that Foxe's gone down here. They've made zero progress in the downstairs clear, and they're only down by a single player on Oxygen's side now.
Oxygen have perfectly executed the game plan of this strat. This is going to be difficult for DarkZero to try and get around. They haven't even been able to get the kitchen hatch open. The map control just wasn't in their favor, and you can see they're trying to just spin around and find any area to run into right now. Pambazoo lurking around the bottom of the staircase, dedicating a frag grenade. Hyper's going for something inside of Blue Hill. At least get one, but now all the damage is coming through. Vertical's going to get two with the Nitro Cell. Amazing for him. That's more than likely going to seal the deal here. But no, as you said, they're stacked, and Pambazoo started the plant. What has gone wrong? He can't get it from range, but he gets off. I believe he gets downed. We'll have to see here. The M590 shot, did he? Yes. Yep. He ends up peppering him up, John, and downs the Yana at the very last second. Only claim to the map being black box in the back of church. That was insane.
To be fair, if you're DarkZero there, you can't really blame them for not double-checking that position. There's no reasonable situation where you're going to be expecting two different people to be stacked in that corner.
It's a clown car, my friend. It's a clown car.
Yeah, just a slight oversight from DZ there. Costs them the round, and that's going to be a pretty big loss for them here. Oxygen taking that round. Not even really needing to take a whole lot of fights to win it as well. Just a slow pullback of the roam game. Obviously keeping Foxe deployed in kitchen for the extended period of time he was there, but the additional 20 to 30 seconds he wasted when he was finally found out only played into OXG's favor even further, as we saw there with the chaos of the execute in those final few seconds.
Well, as per usual, the pros know best, right? I saw the trap strat immediately, but then after that, I was like, wait, the Legion's gonna sit down low and sit on those mines. That's so smart. And Fox, they just played things so well inside a kitchen, man. That was so beautiful. Just delayed so much time there, and you know, it's just difficult for DarkZero to try and get through a lot of that because of the amount of utility that Oxygen are bringing to deny drones and also stop Yana from doing a lot of her job as well, depending on where those mute jammers are. Obviously, that's a little bit more difficult for us to see overall, but still, it just makes things very, very difficult. So, you know, now you're presented this problem of, do we try and clear out all of this, or is this all a ruse? Like, what's going on with this situation? And DarkZero just simply ran out of time.
So with the second round getting started here, Oxygen off onto a good foot to start off the matchup here on the upstairs site. We're going to have to see how things change up them. I would expect the play style to remain relatively similar in that we have this very slow, long, and drawn-out early game that eventually leads us to that final 20 to 30-second execute. This is something I talked about in the pregame with DarkZero always tending to play into this type of strategy, but it does play into this map fairly well, as on most sites, you usually have to go down to near null timer in order to execute and open up all the proper angles you would generally need, or at least want to attempt to clear out to attack the site. Now, as far as the main site balcony is concerned, not going to be too much of a problem for DarkZero inside of this round. There was a K denial being brought to the table. It doesn't look like it was much of an issue for DarkZero to deal with as the wall is opened up, still within the first minute of the round.
Well, plenty of time on the board still for DarkZero to work with, but that was the issue the last time as well. That timer started to dwindle, and all of a sudden found themselves as a loss for words and have too much to exchange with Oxygen past that, although the execute went off beautifully. I still have no idea how that truly happened. Hyper simply walking inside of blue and getting some frags, but now we're into round 2, and we're back to the utility work, the hard work for our hard-working blue-collar boys out here, starting the welding job on the garage. But now before Laxing takes down Pambazoo, caught lacking inside of Logistic. Thank you very much, my friend. But either way, Oxygen, honestly, in a very good position right now. They're able to take down Pambazoo down low. DarkZero are taking their merry time trying to get any angle open here in garage. And now BC is simply staring at a bulletproof. They'll be able to get rid of that. And they also got the wall opened upstairs, so they've actually made a little bit more progress than we initially saw, but they still have to get past Vertical inside a garage.
Vertical can continue to hold presence here, has 3 ADSs to hold his position, not to mention that the garage walls underneath of him are currently electroclawed as well, for anybody who caught that sitting in the corner on the left side of Vert's screen right now. So he's also safe from that angle. NJR, though, with a very nice pick, is able to just barely spot Vertical's head, take him out of the picture, and now even out this fight into a 4v4. We've got less than a minute on the clock, though, so time to see how, once again, DarkZero looks to handle a low-timed execute.
We've got Foxay on the roam inside of Secret, able to support Yaga here on Cash Stairs. He's be able to get rid of a drone here. DarkZero still looking for some info to influence this execute. Unlikely going to need it. They've at least gotten garage control, so this makes this fairly straightforward as to how they want to go about this. Just go for a default plant, but they're obviously still going to have to worry about the lower angles. But DarkZero now starting to clean up. Hyper with the bait on the down, as you said, but now Laxing with one of his own. He'll get a triple, and look at all the health bleeding off of DarkZero. They've only got one drone up for Hyper right now, trying to find some information, but they're both one-shot. Eclipse trying to make it work. He'll at least get a hold of the case and start the plant, but Laxing in such a pivotal position right now. Hyper only with the pistol. He's at least holding the cash stairs, but he can't win the fight. Laxing gets the other one through the wall, and the Roni, such an immaculate weapon in this position. That rate of fire obliterates both of these members, and yet another round going the way of OXG.
Speed is outwitting control right now out of these first 2 rounds. Oxygen with some great positional play, despite the excellent counterplay that was coming in from the attack. Hyper specifically got to give a nice call out to baiting the down body there. To be fair, he didn't really have capability to take down the down body, it seemed, but corrected that very quickly when someone went and tried to revive that player. So a nice double for him. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough because of the out and about game once again from Oxygen showing its prowess, not necessarily from the garage hole, but the downstairs players showing up in the late round. Foxay with the late show up to garage, they're getting that massive damage onto the final 2 players from DZ and being able to clutch it out with his teammate Laxing. Very well played there, and now going to stretch Oxygen to the final point on their site triangle as we head over here to Gym and Bedroom.
Now, Gym and Bedroom One of the funnest sights to play in the entire game, mostly because of what it's done to Frost recently. We're not going to have her here, but we are going to have some other operators that we don't get to see enough of nowadays. But we might in the future, depending on how these buffs go coming up. We got Foxay on Alibi, so we'll see how these holograms work out and try and get some info for the defense. But some interesting stuff to cite for both of these squads in comparison to Stage 1 and Stage 2, especially for Oxygen here, John. Some massive change-ups, especially for Kino's sake, when it comes to overall play. I mean, Stage 1, he had a rating of a 1.14. He was plus 19 as well, and he had a 0.85 KPR, all playing Ace and Smoke. Pretty great on offense, and honestly, let's be honest, nowadays, the Smoke pretty great as well. The SMG-11 is a very favorable gun, especially in the right hands. But this stage, 6 maps played, so still very close, you know, inside of sampling size. 0.92 rating, -8, a 0.61 KPR, and Therm and Smoke. That's the only real difference, is he's played Thermite a little bit more. Obviously, those operators can still be played, just not at the peak. So it's a bit of a change up for Oxygen inside of this stage. It just seems like they've lost their lethality, at least in the hard breach department.
Only 20 seconds into the third round here so far, but we've already got members of DarkZero starting to enter into the building. Still a long way from the site, to be fair, as they're taking garage control, and we are attacking the bedroom up on the second floor. NJ are going to take some heat in the meanwhile, as the resistance placed over inside of Cash is going to start poking its head out of that room and does at least a little bit of damage to NJR, who opened up the balcony panels, with relative ease, since they were left soft this time. Yog's still going to take up that position, though, using it best of their capability. You'll note, though, it's not a direct hold on the inside of the room, as we commonly see 1 or 2 defenders take up position behind all these barricades, but it's not going to work this time, it seems, for Oxygen. That may have been a smart call. We've got a very heavy emphasis on the room being built up here by DarkZero. However, they are wasting all of their frag grenades. It would only clear out utility, as there are no players hard committed to that room, as we just discussed a few moments ago.
Oxygen doing a great job once again of bleeding out the timer here. Not giving it away too much. Yaga's going to take some damage, but that's about it. They'll at least equally trade that back to NJR. We also have some lurks going on around the map. 2 nitro cells currently inside of stock, waiting for DarkZero to push forward. But unbeknownst to them, there's already nitro cells laid out. A land field here, apparently, as one will go off next to BC. It does some damage, but not enough to actually do much. He'll get knocked down to about half HP here, but Oxygen still doing their damnedest to hold on to every bastion they possibly can. Another nitro cell here for Laxing. He actually might get a frag off of this. No, Eclipse going to move just in the nick of time, and DarkZero once again down on this timer. Only 45 seconds remain, and they haven't been able to push forward just yet.
Do you call a minefield a land field? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll worry about it later, as Fox is taking some serious damage right now. Oh no! This black eye camera, though, sitting all the way on the top, has full info on Hyper right now. Hyper has info onto his opponent as well. So this is a dangerous battle, either way you put it. Bert's gonna end up backing away, but he's not safe there either. He's got crosses open from the Maverick work that's been done out on the balcony, and he's gonna end up going down, I believe, to that position. Can still get him revived, but with the pressure broiling out in the site, they may not have time to. Kino tries to go through the breach, only ends up getting one for himself. Players are dying left and right, and it's all brought down to Foxay, who's not even in the right continent, it seems like. Plant going down. He's still contained over here in construction right now. Can he interrupt the plant? Can he even get back into the room? No, unfortunately not. Panba knocks him out. He does get traded into a down state, but nonetheless, the round is won, and finally a point goes onto the board for DZ.
Yeah, Foxy was in that landfield I was talking about before. I don't really know what he was doing on over there, but you got to watch yourself. Apparently some people dropping some bombs or something in there. You got to make sure you're watching your feet. But either way, Oxygen fall apart there just at the very last second. But the biggest thing being is that kill from Pambazoo just hip fires right through the wall and kills an Oxygen member. And that seemed to be like the last hope for Oxygen there as well, was that position. Can he possibly shut down the stash rotate? But he ends up getting banged on the wall instead. So not much to really say past that. DarkZero do a very good job of cleaning things up, especially on the cash side, and they avoided a lot of issues that could have bubbled up there, especially the nitro cells. It's unfortunate for Oxygen that they weren't able to get those to land, but it didn't seem like they had the intel at the moment to really go for what they tried to inside of stock. But either way, though, they're still up by a round, and they'll be headed back downstairs after their trial of their third site.
Time to see now if it is just the off-site that made things awkward there for OXG, or if it was truly a change of the tides in the favor of DarkZero. DarkZero certainly struggling once again with that early game, same as they have in some of their previous matches. The issues of getting control and then being able to properly use the low time to get onto the site. has become an issue inside of this matchup, although making sure that they take the best stride upon it there in the previous round, not losing any players up to the lead up into sight, having all that info as well. We could see at one point the little information battle between the Logi hatch that was going on, but even aside from that, it seems DarkZero knew exactly what was going on inside of the gym and bedroom areas. They were able to clear that out almost flawlessly in their favor, losing only 1 to 2 players in a very chaotic play, and finally take a round for themselves. Now, can they do it again against an even rougher take here in a much harder to read setup, as Oxygen is all over the map here in the first minute or two of the next round?
Well, same setup, just drop the Ella off and throw Foxay on Valkyrie, and you got it. He's going to be sitting down near main stairs yet again here. Laxing currently inside of Waits with Vertical holding on to main stairs. He's going to drop in toward Foxay's location, away from the window, just trying to avoid the angle that DarkZero had adopted early on here, as the first minute is already ticking away. Drone game going to be spinning up here on the west-hand side, as they'll drone out Laxing. He'll just drop down into Billiards, but he knows he has someone close. He's going fishing over towards the strip side, waiting on the hallway right now. He's got Pambazoo, I believe, in tow. Yes, he does, but now DarkZero, doing a very good job of clearing out this area. They're not pushing forward very quickly, and it's allowing Oxygen back time to actually end up moving backwards, which isn't the worst thing in the world. We've seen DarkZero do a very, very good job once they're able to create enough space to get the execute that they're looking for, but it seems that Oxygen still want a piece of this pie. Vertical and Yaga going to stick to this roam.
Definitely good news as far as this round is concerned for DarkZero so far. They clear out these Oxygen roams. Yes, no damage on them, but the important thing is they clear them out and condense them into the site, while only using about half the round to do so. I believe we might still have 1 to 2 players out and about somewhere on the first and second floor, but they also might have fallen back since the last time I got a view of them. Now, looks like we do still have some resistance over here towards Stock, and that's going to come in the form of Yogg, and not a very long form, apparently. He goes down very quickly after trying to get aggressive against the swing from stage. Not going to be knocked out. There actually is a pretty good chance we could see him get revived, considering that he made it down the hatch before going down. It's more a matter if he can crawl into position quickly enough, and unfortunately for Pan, but he can't run out of his position. He goes down to the Nitro from Foxay. Great timing on that, but an immediate exchange as Vertical is finished off, and we go down to a 4v4.
I don't know why Pambazoo assumed that was safe. That seems so risky to try and pop a hologram there, but either way, he'll go down. Vertical going down as well. They do revive Yaga, so some positive news for Oxygen. Only 30 seconds remain now for DZ, so they're going to be looking for this execute very soon, and it starts off with NJR getting the kitchen hatch. Hyper going to focus on the bottom of main stairs. NJR at least going to get one. They've established the cross here, and the plant more than likely coming soon. Yaga going to be on point to try and hold down the hatch. Only going to light up Eclipse, so at least down one, but they need some assistance. The cross not enough. Yaga will at least confirm Eclipse, but there isn't a plant just yet. NJR with the trade, BC with the stick, Laxing with the cross, and he's dead to Hyper. It's all down to Foxay, and Hyper's got him too. DarkZero find round 4.
Finally, enough support there coming in from DarkZero in the plant itself. They had issues with that on the last round because, to be fair, they didn't expect 2 players to be hiding in the back of Church in that same little position behind Black Box, and Oxygen was able to sneak around as a result of killing the planter at null timer there. This time, though, that does not happen. DarkZero pull off an excellent execute into the site, get that full control, and for the re-rotates back in from the other players on OXG, they as well are called the moment they show their faces at blue and main stairs, giving another one over to DarkZero. Starting to look like some confidence and control coming over the half of them here as they tie it up at 2-2, but we're also heading back upstairs here now. Another chance for Oxygen to take the lead right back and maintain it as we get towards the end of the first half.
Did you say cold?
What's up?
Did you say cold?
About what?
No, not cold as in like temperature. Cold as in like CULLED. Cold. Believe.
Oh, I don't know, to be honest.
Oh, I was gonna be like, that's a terrible game, by the way. Like,
oh, yeah, I don't know.
I dedicated with. Did you ever play the Colleen? Did you ever play that game?
Oh, no. I was just using the word. It is just a word.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know it is just a word, but I was just referencing the game.
No, yeah, sorry.
I don't get to make references as well. I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to inconvenience you, my friend. My bad.
No.
I forgot that I'm not allowed to have fun.
It just took me way too long to figure out what you were talking about right there. So that was on me more than you.
I see, guys, I get baited all the time. This is what it truly is. This is like, John's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, it's fair. I also am terrible at references, so like, what am I gonna do about it? But yeah, terrible game. But besides that point, great round there for DarkZero. The low time executes is what we've been talking about with this team, and they're proving it here once again that they're able to just make the most out of these situations that seem not unplayable, but to the point where it's like, this is very risky. Like, all it is one kill, and this can completely go south. And they're able to do it time and time again with big plays from people like Hyper. And they've really seen a step up in him this stage as well, comparative from stage 1 to stage 2. And it's been a big change up with what he's been playing. His main operators last stage were Ashe and Jaeger, this one being Zof as well as Mozzie. And that might not sound like the biggest change in the world, but it might be some serious ones, as we kind of get debated there for just a second. I thought Foxay had a chance, but it's actually going to end up going away.
His timing was pretty good too. I think he shot like a millisecond too late there as the rappel went up just slightly. Had a shot straight into the backside of Zofia, but unfortunately is not going to be able to execute upon it. What we will see executed upon, though, is Foxay trying to get aggressive inside a garage again. BC catches that after he tries to retreat. It's going to be DarkZero getting themselves the opening 5v4 advantage yet again to play off of here. Definitely still some work to do. They have already dealt with the upstairs balcony. That's no problem, as I don't believe it's being reinforced by these electric claws. Y'all, however, still blocking access to the garage, but even despite that, DarkZero taking a nice, slow, measured approach, are constantly catching the movements of Oxygen right now. Another player going down. Vertical has now been eliminated, and we're in a 5v3.
Well, this is something that Oxygen has been going for this entire time, is map control and trying to get a roam game to work. Get some picks, slow down DarkZero, and if it all honestly comes down to the timer and DarkZero doesn't want to try and engage them, they're fine with that too, and they'll back off. But the difference is now is DarkZero is looking for them and establishing these cutoffs. That's how they're going to end up getting a vertical, I believe, out of the top of garage there, as well as Foxay with a nice kill as well. Hyper, procuring, I believe, both of those. But either way, down to about 48 seconds here for DZ. They've gotten garage control as well as a frag onto Laxing now. It's a 5 versus 2 in their favor. A down onto Kino that Hyper will be able to confirm, so a double for him, not getting those 2 earlier frags, but that's not going to matter either. NJR is going to clean it up. It's a flawless for DZ, and 3 rounds in a row as well.
This second quarter of the match has been really impressive so far for DarkZero. They've learned very quickly the issues of what exactly was getting in their way on Oxygen's roam game, and they have immediately capitalized upon it in the reruns so far, catching so many of these roams from Oxygen as they try to get aggressive, especially on that last round right there when they try to creep on the garage positions multiple times. They're catching it and setting up a very winnable 5v3, and still even past that point, never really committing to an outright rushed execute there until they had it down to 1 player on Oxygen. So really, really strong stuff coming out from DZ on the attack right now.
Yeah, you can totally see it from the play overall. I think the team is looking really, really good, especially today. This Clubhouse looks like a pretty fresh DarkZero, if I do say so myself. But, you know, I think, again, the thing that stands out to me is got to be Hyper in between stage 1 and stage 2. I mean, you look at the guy's stats across stage 2 right now. I mean, his rating first stage, a 1.02. He's got a 1.23 now inside of this stage. And alongside that, he's plus 21, and he's plus 7 on his opening KD. So amazing stuff right there, as well as a KPR of a 0.92. So he's having like really big rounds. Sometimes he gets shut down early, and that's perfectly fine, but he's finding the frags that DarkZero needed last stage and doing it in excellent fashion. I think that they're just now getting the base that they need under them because of what they've been going through, right? They end up losing Skies as well as Mint. BC comes in. He hasn't played in forever. Pambazoo's fresh in from CL, and now they're finally, you know, getting some traction, and it feels really good, especially for BC's sake. I mean, you've been seeing the adjustments right here. This squad overall is quite big brain when it comes down to it.
So time to see if they can fully go big brain here for DarkZero and solidify that 4-2
big
half
brain time
against what is going to be an even arguably more interesting choice from Oxygen here. We're on bar stock, ladies and gentlemen. So
oh my god, I didn't even notice.
Yeah,
dude, I was looking at my notes real quick.
definitely a bit of a stretch on the strategy book for Oxygen. Very curious to see how it plays out though, because for those who haven't noticed, Oxygen has been playing very heavily into the roam game, especially on their basement defenses, which we don't always get to see out of Clubhouse teams. This is the one site that you kind of have to play that, like you don't really have a choice. You kind of have to play that type of play style because of the way the site is set up. So as a result of that, this could work out well for Oxygen, especially considering what I'm going to assume is DarkZero's general unfamiliarity with both the setup and the general procedures for attacking the site, as it shows up once in a blue moon. This is the first time in probably a good 6+ months that I've seen it get played.
Yeah, it comes around every once in a while, and it's a site that A lot of people are conflicted on it, right? It's not played, but it is every once in a while, like we were talking about before, but it's not played. And the only reason that it is kind of a meme is because it used to be literally undefendable. Like, you basically just took a Monty strat, walked right into stock, and planted the bomb, but that's not necessarily the case anymore. They've made it a little bit more friendly overall to play around, especially inside of the bar area, but it still has the same issues, and it's mostly due to the verticality. You know, you can break up a lot of stuff up here and get some really solid angles, as well as just the cutoffs through the sites in general are really solid. So this is going to be basically a shooting range back and forth. Who can win these gunfights?
Time to see who will come out on top of that one. And to be fair, it has been a bit of a mixed bag here. DarkZero has been very good at isolating out the individual players from OXG and slowly whittling down the numbers. Might have a bit more of a difficult time doing that, however, inside of this round for the reasons I mentioned before. They don't have a great idea about what the setup could or does look like, so their drones are just going to be rolling around hoping they can find someone, as you can see, at least NJR is doing right now. They are approaching this as if it is a fairly typical gym clear right now, so they're going to be taking that upstairs control for themselves, clearing out cash, which hasn't been defended very well, so that's an easy task for DarkZero, and looking like they're going to use this as a base of operations for the rest of their assault, primarily pointed at the moment towards stocks. We'll see if this ends up working out for them.
Yeah, they shouldn't push any farther forward here, John, mostly because they've got the verticality inside of cash, so to go through and try and get the clear, I mean, they can to try and get the kill onto Laxing, obviously, but they've already got things set up for their crossfires and everything else. They just need to try and find a way to support these angles and get a plant down in here, because looking across the board, they don't have any smoke, so there really isn't a way to try and break LOS and attempt to try and get a plant down, so they're looking to try and find some targets here. Laxing going to start it off, though, for the defense, as he'll take down Eclipse and make things that much more difficult for them going into the last 40 seconds.
DarkZero losing a player. Once again, that slow, measured approach may not work out here on the inside of this round. OXG very much ready for that type of assault, but regardless, a plant is going down on the back of the site. So far, successfully. Vert did take out NGR. I don't even think they know BC's going for it, though. And there we go. The gas grenades show up far too late. Fox, they cannot stop the plant. It's already been done. BC fragging out from the back of the site. Now, before he goes down, Y'all going to trade. 2v4 here, though. It's going to be rough for DZ to hold on to this, but they're getting it done regardless. Panba finding another kill. They're not even going to expect Hyper in this position. Hyper with the mystery, though, so he gets traded. Yogg takes him down, and Laxing follows it up with the final frag against Panba. It's close, but Oxygen get the job done on bar and stock to tie up things at the half.
They win the retake, and DarkZero don't have anyone to play the vertical angles to try and prevent here. That would really only been the saving grace, as Oxygen just have such a strong clear of the mid floor and take out all of the DZ members along the way. It's a 3-3 now after Oxygen call a last second timeout and ended up going bar stock for the victory.
So let's see here now as we switch sides and get into the second half. DarkZero. What's up?
Jesse just hit us with an absolute zinger, my friend.
Let's
that's the first time bar stock has ever been defended successfully in NAL history. There you go.
Oh, for NAL. Okay, I could see. I was about to say, I thought we were talking about like Siege history in general. I was like, there's no way someone hasn't won that site on defense in 6 years. Like,
no, somebody in like the original like year 1, year 2 people totally did it. Like, oh man, I was watching some of those games a while back and just seeing the rosters and how the game looked overall. It's incredible how much things have changed in 6 years. It makes me feel so old. Oh my god. It's terrible. Age is a weird thing, man. But you know what isn't a weird thing? Well, it might be a weird thing for some people, but it's probably not for Hyper. He's 12-2-2 right now. That is a stat line and a half, my friend. That is so incredible. He's only died 2 times inside of 6 rounds, and he's got a 2.0 KPR.
We're excited to see what type of exciting play he's going to give us here on the defensive side, especially considering that he's going to be one of the only more aggressively pointed players for DarkZero inside of this round specifically. So let's see what he's going to try to get up to, if anything at all. DarkZero, generally speaking, given their playstyle, would expect to play the usual bunker setup on this site, although it's not exactly what we've got. NJR out probably for intel more than anything right now to see if he can hear anybody walking by. Panba at the same time just holding that usual angle at the top of main stairs, and I believe Hyper will be doing the same thing on blue side. So other than that, it is looking like it is going to be your typical bunker setup after we got a better look at what the full 5 players are up to here in the first couple seconds.
we really expect any much more out of
Yeah,
DarkZero?
like I said, it's not too surprising given DarkZero's playstyle, but
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll put the Rome game for DZ on the bingo card. We'll put it that way. You know what I mean? So, but I think that this is going to be a little successful for DarkZero. I usually like their turtle setups. I think they do a very good job of being able to play into their crosses and their utility, and that's why we see them able to push things to OT. But that's the other issue, is that a lot of the times they're not able to change up their pace, and they run into this problem where the adaptations aren't really working out for them. But as we talked about before, with two big roster changes coming in, that's something that you're probably going to run into. That's basically a fresh team for those of you that haven't played competitive before. When you drop 2 people, that's a life-altering change. Even one person can be a life-altering change overall because they're presenting new factors and a new play style. No one's going to be the exact same in the way that they play games. So, you know, it's difficult, and it's been difficult for DZ, but they've been able to get it done in OT like we've been talking about. But hopefully not the case today. As we've been talking about, they need this right now inside of regulation to make it to Mexico.
Danbo waiting a good 30 seconds there for an opportunity to try and chuck out the Nitro Cell. Unfortunately, only leads to about half the HP being taken off of Kino and just a tiny little bit being removed from Laxing. They have vision onto the Melusi on the back site. That is once again going to be Panva playing into that spot. Oh, Kino had vision just a moment ago. He's got to inch this one and finally gets it. Definitely took him a moment to find the right lineup, but he does get it. And now we go down to what is going to be a 3 versus 4 after the trades ensue. Both Eclipse and Kino picking up frags for either side. Still in the advantage of the folks on Oxygen, and Eclipse nearly getting taken out by a nade. He's able to get to the corner though and find safe harbor, if only temporarily. Another one comes just a moment later, dodges that one too. Eclipse, a 3rd frag now coming his way. This one not going to be too much of a threat, but unfortunately a gun aimed down the hatch will. We've got 30 seconds left. Laxing with a very important kill brings it down to a 4v2. Vertical's made the drop and is in the process of planning. I don't even think DZ have caught on to this as of yet. So Case is going to go down. No, never mind. It's interrupted at the last second by Hyper as he takes down Vertical. Foxay with a trade to make sure he isn't any further of a threat to them in this round. And now NJR left alone in the 1v3. He's going to try and find some way to stop this plant from happening with only 10 seconds left. And no, won't even make it a quarter of the way there. Laxing drops, gets aggressive, and takes him down. OXG take the first round of the half.
So great clear from Oxygen overall. Very quickly through the map, they knew what DarkZero were going for, and they immediately start work on the jobs that they needed to do. Get kitchen opened and start trying to apply pressure. They get some frags down low, especially around AK, but the biggest thing there being, I mean, Oxygen just kind of steamrolled DarkZero. It was a little sloppy, and Laxine, I hate to say it, man, but for someone that can cook so well, you kind of suck at cooking frag grenades. Like, that wasn't the greatest thing in the world, guys. We might want to go back to the kitchen for that one, but besides that, at least you're hitting your frags, man, you know, in the kills department, because that was some awesome stuff. They're able to get the rest of the frags, really put the heat on DarkZero. Really not an opportunity for them to try and retake there. Hyper with a beautiful shot. I don't know how he even knew that the guy was planning there, because we really didn't see a yellow ping or anything like that, but nevertheless, still able to get it done, tries to prolong it, but just doesn't work out for the defense.
Instead of going to the usual cash CCTV extension the teams will normally go to on their second round, DarkZero going to take a trip over towards the gym, see if they can get themselves some gains on the scoreboard here and try to even us up at a 4-4 scoreline. If not, though, OXG will be taking the advantage at a 5-3, putting them only 2 rounds away from getting another win on the board. As an update from previously, apparently it is not possible for OXG to make it, even if they do win this one in regulation, so apologies if we had that math incorrectly, but we've gotten an update since then, and that is the supposedly correct stats as of the current time.
Okay, well, on to round 8 now. Big round for DarkZero. They'll be headed towards CCTV, or actually, excuse me, Gym Master, apologies. Saw those guys over there at the last second. Didn't see a chassis up until now, but either way, a lineup across the board making a lot of sense for this site, especially with NJR in the mix with the Frost. They're going to be extending things over towards Cash, as well as holding things down at the top of Red. This is something that we saw toyed with about a year and a half ago, where we saw a lot of deployable shields up here. So nothing brand spanking new for DZ, but definitely something we haven't seen in a little while.
Still, though, OXG making quick work to get themselves inside access, clearing out from the first floor, which is going to be kind of interesting to see how the rest of this plays out. Considering that, generally speaking, there's a bit of an opposite approach taken, where you'll move in from the other side of the second floor and sweep across, but OXG giving us a slightly different take on things right now. More than likely going to be an open up extra room for them to play off of in the late round here, but So far, no contact against any of the DarkZero players. Still waiting for OXG to establish that presence across the map. They get their players in initial position to take some map control away from the DarkZero roster. DarkZero, though, in their defensive setup are giving us something very similar to what we saw on the last site, a very heavy site-focused setup with not a lot of outside extension. You can probably tell that already from the silhouettes across the map. Not a lot of blue ones, as they're pretty much contained in a single area.
Yeah, they like to play that, not exactly congested style, but more of that turtle like you were talking about. Really like to favor those angles and see what they can get done with it. They still have Hyper, though, extended out towards the top of red, and you can see they basically made this entire bastion for him with those deployable shields set up for both separate angles, so he's more than likely going to be able to hold onto that one for quite some time. As apart from that, though, the Electro Claw not on Jacuzzi, it's actually inside of Bathroom and making Oxygen's life difficult right now in trying to dislodge Eclipse. He's inside of the shower, but the frag grenade instead thrown towards Secret. It'll take down BC, playing the rotate, and now DarkZero have to try and work their way back to site. It's going to be fairly easy for them, though, as they're all very close. NJR going to end up tagging up Laxing. Foxay with another frag grenade making contact. NJR with a great angle. He'll take down one. He's waiting for the other and the repeat, but now getting shot through the wall. Does some damage. Pambazoo takes down Foxay, and it's all going so very wrong for Oxygen.
Oxygen still holding on to a man advantage right now, although only in an even terms at a 3v3, and technically they're down on HP when compared to DZ, so this is going to be a rough situation for them. Yogg now trying to late entry into Cash. This is the first time someone on OXG has gone this side of the map in the entire round here so far, and they needed that extra addition. As you could see, everyone else trying to hop in on the already established angles. They're getting torn to shreds. Yogg and Kino both at low HP. This situation looks familiar. Kino now alone here in the 1v3. Only 6 seconds left to try and attempt to plant. No surprise there. Panba gonna take him out. DarkZero quickly controls a second round and renegotiates the scoreboard here as we get our tied once again at 4-4.
Man, they got these little sparks of life that you see from Oxygen where things seemingly go their way. They're able to get the gunfights. Yeah, there might be some misplaced utility or what have you, but they're able to get the job done. And right now, it's a back and forth in between these two. And for Oxygen, it's a very scary road ahead inside of this map because we've seen what's happened in the past for them where they haven't been able to make the adjustments necessary to close these games out. And with this being so very close, I really do feel like we're once again on that path to overtime. I think DarkZero might not be going to Mexico today.
Well, we'll find out how true that's going to be, of course, when we get to that final point. Still a chance for either one of these teams to take it in regulation. Will need to be 3 rounds going into their favor, though, in order to accomplish that. We'll see if either team can do it. Only 1 round can be lost in the process of trying to claim those 3. So we'll see if either team can make the run for themselves. Now we're going to see DarkZero go over here towards Cash and CCTV. This is the site that they bypassed in the last round so they could go over towards their gym defense. Clearly, that went well for them. And now to expect similar results here, although a different attacking strategy more than likely in the cards for OXG. OXG in that last round did try to ignore the Cash approach, which a lot of teams almost always commit to in order to get them some control over towards construction. And without that, it seemed OXG had a lot of problems getting themselves deeper into the actual site, past that initial opening where the balcony is there. You could see them having to take up positions on the windows and whatnot, and just never really got anything going for themselves. Unfortunately, they were stuck there. Tried to rotate Yogg over to the correct side late in the round, but just didn't have enough time or info to make the play at that point.
It's a big issue when you start trying to work with the west side of the map for that bomb site and you don't really have anything handled when it comes to construction, right? Because they're going to end up rotating back, and that's the biggest thing. So you either have to try and hold the balcony window, which is very dangerous, get the single panel, or outside of that, try and get control of logistics. So that's really all your options for that, and really didn't have access to any of that, and we ended up seeing how that one went. But as you said, I believe a frag grenade or something getting rolled in.
There must have been a mav hole there, right? I would have to guess, like previously?
Yeah.
Was there?
Well,
oh yeah, there was a little one at the bottom.
Yeah, I think he made the mav hole, and then they ended up throwing one of Laxing's nades through.
Well, okay, so they made the mav hole, took out the mute jammer, and then they probably threw the impact through that little tiny mav hole to kill the.
They impacted out.
Yeah, that's how they got. I didn't think there was a mav hole there at first. That's why I was like, wait, how did they impact that thing? But I didn't see that little tiny mav hole, so that makes more sense now. Either way, minute into the round, OXG once again looking to take control of the scoreboard. Already had it earlier in the matchup, but DZ has been playing catch up ever since those first 2 rounds have been played out here. Speaking of things that are out in the open, we've got Hyper right now taking up position on the lower floor of the garage. Very much more likely going to end up being the first contact of this round, and might be happening sooner than he thinks here. Kino going to open up his second breach, the garage panel, or Thought he was. I think he messed up putting it down there. Has to reapply it real quick. But there we go. That'll go down on the ground. The frags will start happening as Kino gets found outside by Panda.
Yeah,
I'm gonna assume a construction window. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my, didn't even commit to the nitro cell either, John. He straight up ran out on the balcony and shot him. That's so risky.
That's with Foxay also being out there, and I think he was in a previous fight with him, or another one of the members of DarkZero was in some way either, so huge risk being taken there, but it pans out. Vert walking in, though, finds an easy down on the Hyper. The problem is getting the kill is not so simple. Foxay will make sure that at least Hyper gets confirmed, but still, only an advantage to DarkZero now after everything is said and done in that fight. Whoa, what a hunt from Eclipse! Right down on the Foxay's face. He takes him out. Here's going to be the problem, though. Eclipse got a lot of pressure onto him, so the trades roll in very quickly. Laxing takes him out of the fight. We get locked into a 2v2. Yogg is low, but everybody else in the lobby is at full HP at the moment. Yogg with a pre-fire. Right position, wrong stance on the prone there. Notices the Valkyrie camera that is feeding intel onto him. Things are going to go quiet here for just a moment. Laxing needed time to group up with Yogg so they could commit themselves to the inside and, of course, try to get this case down to the ground. There's no nitro on the defense to immediately stop this, so if they want to stop it in the plant procedure, they will have to get aggressive. With 10 seconds left, they might not do it, though. They might be willing to hold this on, but at the same time, this will be their last chance. Yogg trying to swing both sides. The player with higher HP currently holding the plant right now. Panba gets the first trade. Can he get the second? No! It's Laxing with the knife to clutch it out instead, and OXG take the round.
What is happening right now? We got Rey Mysterio inside a garage. We've got oh my goodness gracious. It's just like defying the laws of Siege. This is a 6 inches of steel. Hey, a 6-inch blade never loses reception, my friend. So fantastic play there from Oxygen. Wow. Okay, so they're able to get garage control after Eclipse decides to just jump off the top ropes, man. Like, that was just, that was incredible. Incredible stuff from Eclipse. But he immediately gets traded. That's going to give up garage control there. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's really the reason that DarkZero ended up losing that round, is because they gave it up so willy-nilly. It was a really cool clip. I'm happy that he did it, I guess, for my own personal game. But for DarkZero's sake, not the best play in the world. But that's A-okay. They're going to be down one round here, and Oxygen going to shoot ahead by one once again.
All right, so OXG back in control after a very chaotic affair. Technically, it wasn't even a knife kill at the end of the last round, so no 6-inch blade here, just the butt of an SMG-11 it looked like there. So either way, works out in the favor of the OXG roster as they are inching their way towards victory. As Stokes mentioned in the last round, overtime very much in the cards, however, as literally every single DarkZero
is a factor.
I think every single DarkZero game on this stage, except for one where they didn't get a single round, went to OT so far. So the odds are looking like they're in our favor for OT. But
I'm assuming so as well. And I'm gonna run over here and grab this really quickly, and let's just roll back through stage 2. So, to
be fair, though, I think it has been mostly 6-8s instead of 8-7s. So
they have been to overtime in every game except for the game that they got stomped by TSM 7-0.
So I was right.
Yes, you were.
So ignoring
the
07, which to be fair, that was a rough game as TSM really came into storming shape at the beginning of the seasons, and a lot of people expected them to have such a dominant performance, but they did, and the credit goes to them for that. Either way, though, DarkZero has rebounded, although having to really seesaw their way to victory in literally every single matchup except for the one we just mentioned previously. Might be doing that once again here today if they can inch their way towards OT. Still an outright win is possible as well here. We've got the Impact primed and ready to go for Hyper. He's going to chuck it out a bit early this time, actually. Hoping to get some damage onto the Maverick, but he's a little bit late. Maverick backed up a few seconds prior to that. The second one will sink truly onto Foxay. Knocks out a little under 25 of his HP, but that's not anything Foxay's realistically going to worry about. That's like one less bullet he can take in a fight, and he's on the Maverick anyway, so his main job is not in the frag department.
Well, luckily enough, seemingly not exactly what Hyper was looking for right there. He did a very good job of delaying. That's mostly what the spraying was for there. Not really trying to get too much damage off into Foxay, just simply preventing them from trying to get rid of that mute jammer so quickly. And it's going to delay them for quite some time, but this doesn't seem to be the whole plot for Oxygen. There's a full force unit working the other side of the map right now that's led off by Laxing. And I believe we might be seeing some rotates very soon. BC seemingly aware of this, but no one making a forward gesture just yet, all except for vertical drones. So they have the first telltale signs, but things are starting to go off, and BC is starting to feel some heat. Oh?
Let's see members of Oxygen getting into position to start moving forward. Once again, those on-point frag grenades. We're having issues hitting them on their initial attack against the basement, but ever since then, they've been an ace with these. 2 kills in a previous round. Now 1 kill so far picked up here. They are going to lose Kino. And now Nitrocell goes up top. That could be the sealing deal for Kino. Indeed it is. Vertical just barely survives the explosion as well. He only has about 10 HP left. Hyper's gonna get caught though with some unfortunate timing. Hyper thinks he's safe by taking out the drone, but Laxing on the run to take him out just literally a second later finds the trade for that. Brings us down to a 4v3, but with only 30 seconds left, the lessened manpower on DarkZero could still be enough to win out this round if they play these final seconds correctly.
I agree with Laxing from earlier. It's definitely demon time for him. 12-4-2 currently. The hope for Oxygen to continue these rounds as Yaga's going to end up taking down another one, making his presence known. Eclipse, the last remaining member of DarkZero in Rafters, but he's not going to make it too long. Laxing with the prone angle. Who does it better? I will sit here and wait for you to answer. Laxing going to close it out for Oxygen inside of round 10 and pushes up onto map and match point for OXG.
OXG running the gauntlet here now. Gonna go over to gym and bedroom. This is where DarkZero had a very solid defense. OXG not able to get much going for themselves in the last attacking attempt against this defense, but to be fair, that was also mainly due to Oxygen's strategical mistake of not trying to put pressure onto construction, at least in my opinion, until the very end of the round where they kind of were forced to do it. So I want to see now if they try to go for that same very Western-focused execute, or if we're going to see them revert back to what we normally see attacking teams doing in the early round here.
Well, if they go for the Western attack, they'll have to wear cowboy hats.
Got a Monty pick too, so.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
Yeah, well, there is a Monty pick. Thanks for going over my joke, man. I was just trying to be funny
sorry,
for once.
I'm like really focused on this game right now.
No, I'm just
it's a pretty good game, to be fair.
No, it is a very, very good game, and I'm actually very happy that you're talking about the Monty because we don't get to see him very often anymore. And, you know, it's changed up a lot, at least inside of the shields for the offense. We still see Clash mainly because of her delay, but the other two, Blitz as well as Monty, haven't seen so much play. We saw DarkZero using Blitz for a little while when Mint was still playing, but outside of that, all not really happening too often. Maybe a little bit inside of APAC, but that's about it. Monty getting a huge change has made it to where a lot of people don't really find him favorable, mostly because of the nitro cell damage or just explosive damage overall that now happens to him, as well as how you can knock his shield back with explosive. So it makes him a little bit more difficult to play, but we'll see if Oxygen can work around it. I think the thing that's standing out here for me, besides the Monty pick, is got to be who it's on, because it's on Vertical.
Vertical. Be taking up that mantle, and we'll see if this works out for them. Inside of this game specifically, the frags have not necessarily been there for him, so and it makes sense that we see him jump onto this role, at least under these specific circumstances. Now, what exactly is he going to contribute towards here? We've got this massive setup for the inside of Cash. This is back to what we would normally expect, by the way. I know we were talking about that quite a bit in the pregame, so things have gone back to normal in that respect. But the problem is, as a result of that, Oxygen do have to work past all of this utility that has been set up to stop them. They're going to use one of their thermite breaches to actually get past the garage wall leading to the inside of CCTV, because there's a Surya gate blocking off the window, too. Not really an easy path to get in, so they're going to use one of the hard breaches there, meaning they'll only have one additional one to open up another angle. That could be the balcony, that could be a lot of very important positions. It's looking like it might be fully focused on construction this time around for OXG.
Oh, I love this change up from Oxygen. This is why they've brought the Monty, John. They knew about the shield setup up top, but how are DarkZero going to deal with it? It's going to be a Nitro Cell initially that takes down Foxay. Kino fires back, though, and takes down Hyper, the top frag currently for DZ, but they still have Pambazoo, who's been lighting up the scoreboard this game, 11-6-2. I believe his best game of the stage so far, and hoping to do more here. Laxing, who's been doing the most for Oxygen, now down inside of stock, trying to clear out some positions with some frag grenades, but they haven't gotten too solid of intel to actually abuse this. They could push Vertical inside here and try and get something done, but now some fire coming to eclipse them, I believe, the drone hole, but just not doing all that much. They're doing a very great job of holding on to Cash as of right now. Still have two Oxygen members sitting outside inside of CCTV. They've simply stuck them here. There's not much more they can simply do, and it's surprising because they have Monty. The cross angle is obviously still going to be there to the left of Vertical that he's got to worry about, so this does make some things problematic. You really can't push forward in this position in particular, so they're going to go for it with Yaga. He's going to lose the gunfight to Pambazoo. Kino trying to cross, but you can see the doors being held, so as soon as he goes for this, Eclipse is actually going to win the gunfight out instead. It doesn't even seem like they need the support from the rest of their team. This is incredible stuff right now for DZ.
DZ holding on perfectly here. There's that last minute switch up again as OXG is going to insert Laxing toward Logic. He makes it in too. No contention on that, but as we can see, it's not much of a threat for the DarkZero camp as they deal with it pretty much immediately upon taking out the last attackers that were sitting over on the cash side of the map and solidify another round for themselves. We're going all the way to the end of regulation. I don't think anyone who's been watching this season is going to be surprised by that. We could still have a surprise if OXG claims the final round of it and avoids OT for the first of only a second time so far this season for DarkZero.
So DarkZero officially aren't going to Mexico. That's it right there. They're not going, at least today. They can still go in the future, but not today. They had to win it inside of regulation. Not able to get it done. Oxygen on match point right now. It's 6-5 after we see a pretty lackluster offense that they end up bringing a Monty in for to try and abuse DarkZero's positioning at the top of red with those 2 deployable shields, but it's just not done well enough. They're able to get the initial frag, but the refrags start coming through. They really don't have a grasp on construction, and that seems to be pretty troublesome for them inside of that top floor where they're not able to get control of that area how they necessarily want to, and are able to actually make it to where DarkZero are getting cut off on their way back. But either way, Oxygen gets stunted inside of cash, but they still have an opportunity to win it here in max of regulation.
Now this is going to be fun to see from DarkZero. We've got the castle basement hold strat coming out from them on this round. BC going to be the one picking up that operator of choice, and we can see the barricades going down on the second floor and first floors, meaning that it is going to be that typical supported setup that we've actually seen for roams up here. So definitely a bit of a stretch on the character side of things for DarkZero, but I'm very interested to see it regardless, as the basement hold wasn't really working out too well for them, so this could be what gets them to OT.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
We shall see. We shall see. DarkZero, the extended Rome Castle setup like we were talking about before. One that we've seen a lot of different variants of recently, with everyone seemingly having their own idea of how they want to do it, but this one seeming very straightforward as to what we are used to. The castle barricade is being dedicated to the usual spots, and it's all going to be headed off by Eclipse. And, well, speaking of heads, Yogg's going to lose his. We actually might get a refrag here for Oxygen. Eclipse has been tracked. He's looking the wrong way, though. Laxton will take him down with the SMG-11 and be able to at least get the case back in their control. Pambazoo is luckily enough going to get tracked for Laxing's sake as he's on the bottom of the staircase, but is he aware of NJR? It's actually waiting at the top.
Definitely seems to be a bit of an awareness, or at least an expectation on OXG's side that someone is going to be lurking upstairs. With regards to who exactly it is, they probably don't have that info as of yet, but this is where things could get very dangerous for DarkZero. If those upstairs players are not able to properly leverage either a waste of time or get up a kill here, then that's going to be a pretty serious advantage going by the way of OXG when it comes time to work onto the site itself. It seems for the time being, OXG, I would assume, has just assigned someone Overwatch on it, but looking at the silhouettes right now, there is nobody keeping an eye on this. NJR, just a free W on the Nitro cell as he chucks it right in front of Laxing. I think Laxing was on cam, so he had no way of knowing at that point in the round either. Vertical and Kino don't seem too bothered by it. Of course, Vertical has to go back to try and retrieve the case, and we still have other threats lurking upstairs too. NJR now wrapping around, is going to get caught trying to move down red stairs by Foxay, but NJR avoids his own death by backing up quickly, still at low HP, but more importantly, still wasting time away from the OXG execute. We've got a two-man squad trying to work their way down main now, and this is going to be rough.
It's going to be quite difficult, but at least for Oxygen's sake, they've been able to get some damage off onto NJR, so if a flank does come, which inevitably is more than likely going to happen, then they'll at least be able to have a chance inside of that gunfight. But now down into the last 45 seconds, and speaking of NJR, he's motioned towards bar. Looks like he's going to go for the main stairs flank, but they've got some good info on him as he's moved in. Vertical now inside of Moto, with I believe one more member right behind him. He knows somebody's playing the bomb chassis, but does he have the angle to actually win out the gunfight? Pambazoo playing this so very well right now, just exchanging separate angles back and forth on the chassis, making it very unpredictable for him. It's going to be a trade. BC still holding the angle from behind, but it's going to be a trade back and forth, a 2v2 now. NJR also dead on the flank. It's up to Hyper and BC against Vertical and Foxay. Foxay pressuring in from blue. He'll get taken down from Hyper, who's playing dummies box. We still have both of the DZ members inside of the armory area, but is Vertical aware? He'll get the flick onto one. He needs the second, but he can't get it done. And yet again, folks, DarkZero go to overtime.
The flick was like halfway there too for the final clutch player on OXG, but can't get the job done. DarkZero able to leverage the additional off-site pressure into another one round for themselves and trigger, as Tokes mentioned, yes, another overtime, as unsurprising as that should be for the DarkZero fans out there at this point. That should be good news, though, if you're also a DarkZero fan, as they have won every single overtime they have played so far this stage. Time to see if they can keep that record flawless going all the way to the final week, or if OXG will finally break it and take the 2 points here today instead.
I did my best to think of just like a bad joke, but I couldn't even do that. So yeah, we're in overtime. Honestly, I expected us to be here. I really did. DarkZero, you know, with the change-ups that we've seen from Oxygen, especially inside of this map, it looked like it was poised to go this distance because of the two play styles up against each other. You know, DarkZero just not able to find it inside of the clutch there, or excuse me, Oxygen not able to find it inside of the clutch there. But we had some issues earlier on with DZ running into some very similar problems, and it's just once again back onto that pacing. A lot of change up in what's happening. DarkZero throwing some curveballs at Oxygen, specifically inside of that round being NJR. I mean, I don't think anybody expected him to be upstairs. He gets a huge frag on the player inside a bathroom, and he just stretches out that timer even more and really makes it difficult for the offense.
So let's see who will come out on top of things as DarkZero gets the initial defensive start here, meaning they're going to have it for 2 out of 3 of these rounds. Oxygen, unfortunately, is only going to have it on the round after this one, and will be on the attack twice before we reach the end of the game. We can see some immediate pressure from OXG as we are going to be on the downstairs defense, work its way over towards the upstairs reinforcements over here so they can try to flush out the upstairs presence a lot quicker this time. Going to be much more pointed in this as well. We've got a lot of players on this position trying to scare Hyper away, and so far that job has worked. He's fallen back through cash into construction, has additional support on the other side of the map from NJR, but that's not going to be super relevant right now because we don't have a whole lot of OXG attack heading in that direction. Hyper going to be pushed back even further. In fact, it's looking like he's given up control of this area entirely as OXG slowly starts to sweep in from the east.
It's a solid clear so far for Oxygen. They still have to be aware of Hyper upstairs, but they've pushed back the entire roam setup. So this is going to be the most forward player, and they'll have support all the way down the staircase. You can see Eclipse holding the bottom of the stairs, as well as another player up top to support Hyper in what he's doing. They're going to have Eclipse actually inside of the bar area defending this space because of that ERC-7 backpack. Makes it very difficult for them to actually get a drone on him, but he's going to go fishing, and he will find something he doesn't like too much. It's Laxing sitting to the side of stage on an off angle that Eclipse wasn't necessarily ready for, and he's going to find his 15th frag. The opening frag yet again here for OXG.
So, a 5v4 still on the cards, and OXG having the advantage. Hyper going to start to get aggressive to try and make up the difference here. Takes up that spot just outside of the main doorway leading into the bedroom. Unfortunate, as he's going to get spotted out by a drone just as quickly. Now forced into a fight, but he'll win it. Takes down Yogg. Can't get the finishing blow just as of yet. Hyper's actually going to get prepared with the sidearm to try to take a second, but it doesn't happen. The trade comes out from Kino. NJR did find another pickup elsewhere, though, as he's still defending Logi. One against him. That's going to be Laxing going down due to NJR's own exploits. The Nitro out as well. This one can swing big, and there we go. Yogg goes down. NJR making a massive impact, especially if he can escape back down to the basement here.
This has been an amazing game for NJR, as well as Pambazoo. DarkZero desperately needed it as well, and it's fantastic to see them playing at such a high caliber, but the job's not done yet. A Jackal Shack on NJR, and he's going to have to change positions out of stalls, but he'll quickly reconvene in the area. has that M590 on mute, as well as the SMG-11 in hand currently. So some great firearms to be able to solve any of the riddles thrown at him from OXG, but this one might actually end up not going his way depending on the swing. Kino scaring me there for a split second. That M590 at range not going to do the damage necessary, but Kino's actually all alone as of right now until Foxay, with amazing timing, finds NJR, who had just stepped forward to try and take down the kitchen player. It's down to a 2v2 now as Oxygen will lose vertical, and Pambazoo gets taken down from Kino as well. It's a triple kill from him. This is something that we've needed from him, and he's gonna do it right now. BC springs forward, but can he get it done? The OG from back in the day gets done out by some predecessors, and yet again, Oxygen take the lead.
OXG one round away now from closing things down, unable to do it inside of regulation time. Now they've got a chance to do it in overtime here as well and finally break the streak from DarkZero. Will it happen though? That's going to be the question as they get the defensive side choice here. Which sites also are we going to go to? Not too surprising that we see them go pretty quickly onto the basement hold there. That is a site that was working out well for them. Although in the final rounds of play, we did have some issues losing players in the early rounds. I'm curious to see if that's going to be pulled back at all. It is looking somewhat more like a bit of a turtley setup here for OXG, so we could see both teams flip their play styles in overtime in order to look for the win, and that would be a very interesting turn of events if it ends up coming true. However, the Meister is going to get 6 picked over towards a Valkyrie, so maybe not as passive as I thought we were going to see here.
Yeah, no, not at all. Honestly, I like the defense there from DarkZero. They just weren't able to close it out when it came down to it. That 2v2 just not going DarkZero's way. And again, played out perfectly when it came to the top area. They're able to trade back and forth, but Pambazoo being inside of Moto and just going for something that he was hoping Oxygen wouldn't be prepared for, but Kino was most definitely prepared. Takes him down and gives BC a very difficult position. And, you know, it's always difficult to try and win out a 1v2, but it's even more difficult to try and win out a 1v2 with an up.
10 seconds to go.
So we're just those final couple of seconds remaining. Like I said, I'm very curious to see what the overall setup is going to look like here from OXG. This has very much been a game of slightly evolving play styles, teams trying to outwit each other slowly. And taking a look at things here now for OXG on the final seconds. In the site itself, it's looking like exactly what we would expect, and it's also looking like we're not going to have the extension game be nearly as heavy as it was previously. So right on that, both teams have suddenly flipped their strats going into the final round, although there's a bit of an asterisk on this one. It's looking like we've got Yogg still out and about to a slight extent at top blue. However, it looks very contained. Same for Fox, and this is what we generally expect for Turtle setups. Anyway.
Okay, well, just had to make sure that everything was going well there for just a split second. Saw all chat pop up for a split second. But either way, we're still going ahead. No rehosts or anything to worry about, guys. And that's a really, really great thing because this game has been insane so far. DarkZero with an opportunity to tie us up yet again and push us all the way to the max round count here on Clubhouse. And it starts now. They've gotten some map control here on the west side, mostly around the bar area. They'll start on the Moto hatch here immediately as Oxygen have simply set up this turtle setup. Nothing really outside of that. Mostly everyone pushed towards the eastern side inside of the basement. Vertical obviously going to be playing inside of church, but everyone just simply waiting to see what the next move is for DZ instead of trying to get in their face this time around.
So relatively quiet early round here as both teams have finally shied away, or at least in OXG's case, they've shied away from these early engagements, trying to take the advantage against DarkZero right from the start and then leverage DarkZero's lessened man count into a lackluster last minute execute that DarkZero are so fond of. That strategy, while it worked initially, has fallen off as we've gotten closer to the end of regulation and as well into OT itself. So a new strategy is brought to the fold this time from OXG, and it's the default for this site. Play it as defensively as you can and hope that your opponents waste out enough time on the setup that you're still able to win out when they finally execute in the gunfights. And we're about to reach that gunfight phase relatively soon. With only a minute left on the clock here, DarkZero starting to encroach. We can see Hyper moving himself down blue. It's looking like we've got a bit of main stairs pressure on the other side, as well as at least one player. BC is up working on maving out the church wall. Progress definitely being made, but will it be enough? Vertical in the fight versus BC, but BC takes it instead. You know, has free reign to finish up opening that wall if he wants to, but with a kill going their way, things might get a tad more aggressive than that over the next few seconds.
This could get very scary for either of these squads, but it seems like Hyper knows where the Jaeger went. He'll see the head and walks back perfectly. Insane mechanics right now from Hyper. Can he get the third? He can't. Laxing finally shuts him down, but now it's a 1 versus 4. DarkZero with an opportunity to push us to max yet again here. Laxing has to try and shut it down, but he can't do that. The pressure's just too strong from DarkZero, and they've shut off every angle possible. NJR walks forward, takes down the mute, and we're down to the very last round here on Clubhouse.
DarkZero walks through the turtle setup from OXG, takes control of the tying round to put us at 7-7. As Stokes just mentioned there, we go to the final round to settle this. All the way to round 15. It's going to be another gym bedroom defense from DarkZero as well. And that's got to be bad news if you're an OXG fan right now. OXG has had such a rough time. The first round they attack this, they go directly in from the western balcony. And unfortunately, they're not able to make any forward progress as there was an electric claw blocking out the bathroom angle that if they got that open would have allowed the team to flood in. They struggled with that, tried to do a late round rotate over towards construction, but they only had 3 players left at that point. It wasn't enough pressure. They do the exact opposite of that, but on construction side in the next round and have similar issues. So now, what is going to be the plan in the final round of the map?
Oh, what's the plan for either of them right now? That's the thing is, you know, no matter what happens inside of this round, somebody has to win, and it's decided right here. So every single kill it matters to the utmost of everything, to points, to the standings, to all the stuff that happens in the future. So this could be very calculated amongst these two, but it also could be very chaotic. We know Oxygen are able to provide some pretty crazy stuff when it comes down to it. I mean, we've already had plenty of that inside of this matchup. I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you about that. But for DarkZero, they're going to be going back to very similar straights here from their previous setup. Looking across the board, they're going to end up dropping, I believe, the Aruni that they had before. So no laser gates, but they're still going to be going with these deployable shields, but this time they're only going to have 1 when they usually end up playing 2 around this area at top red where Pambazoo is.
So time to take a look at some of the opening movements from OXG, specifically how they're going to try and approach this early round. This was very much the make or break decision that decided how the rest of the round went. And finally we get a bit of a split here from OXG. Too much pressure on one side, too much pressure on the other. Now it seems like they're going to try and leverage both ways. We do see the thermite charge being placed on the western balcony, although they can't do much with it right now. There is a mute jammer in the way of that. Taking a look at the attack, they don't necessarily have an easy way to deal with that either, unless they can get a well-placed frag grenade in that department. So it's going to be some time before they can do that. However, over here on the other side, to get access towards the construction side of the map, things should be a little bit more straightforward, and we're going to see that come to bear right now. It's going to be a nice, easy opening on that balcony.
Yeah, slow and steady between these two right now, but that's what you and I both expected. Is you said before, this round does mean a lot, and Auction making sure that they clear out everything. Want to dot those I's and cross those T's, I would say. Either way, though, DarkZero simply going to be sitting on the timer. NJR in a very similar position to what we saw him operate around the last time. And he was able to get some frags and impacted Oxygen quite a bit on this balcony, most notably taking down Laxane, and actually ended up holding on to the position for quite a while after that as well. Just made the execution way too difficult for OXG. And it seems like we might be running into similar problems yet again here. Although there hasn't been too much action when it comes down to actual firefights. It's mostly been utility exchange and spraying back and forth. Oxygen have at least been able to get a hold onto some angles on balcony. They've also gotten Jacuzzi open, but the big thing here, John, that we saw go wrong the last time is Oxygen weren't able to control construction, but that might actually change now as NJR is taken down inside of Master.
So, for OXG, things start out well for them, but oh, what a shot from Eclipse, though. The response is so sweet, as it's brought down to a 4v4 just as quickly as Oxygen got themselves the advantage. Eclipse has got another one of those waiting in the wings here. He's trying to stay immobile because of those frag grenades. OXG have been deadly with those over the course of the map that's been played out so far. But here comes the aggression now from OXG. Foxy's going to clear out main stair, make sure no trouble comes in that direction. BC was downed in Logi, more than likely from the same duel we just watched face off. Eclipse still trying to hold off and stem the tide from the inside of the site, but B2 is in a very exposed position and might find himself down on the ground if he's not careful, but it's DarkZero putting bodies in the ground right now. Both Kino and Yogg get taken out. That brings it all on to Laxing and Foxay now. A 2v4 with some damage onto the DarkZero members, but it doesn't matter. Hyper with another shutdown. Foxay gets one more trade, and that'll be the end of it. It's another overtime victory for DarkZero as they take Clubhouse against OXG 8-7.
Oh man, I am absolutely gutted right now for OXG. I know at the beginning of this I said it was going to be difficult to root for them just because of what had happened in the last 3 matches, but you know, I think that they showed a lot of improvement here today. I think that DarkZero also just played an incredible game, and you know, let alone from that, Hyper had 20 frags just by himself. That's not even accounting for Pampazoo with 16 and NJR with 12. So an amazing game here for DarkZero today. I think that they fully deserve it, but a heartbreaker for sure for OXG.
And a rough start for DarkZero too. Things were looking fantastic for OXG, getting the defensive start, picking up the first 2 rounds, but after that point, some very quick learning going on in the DarkZero comms, amazing, adjusting almost instantaneously on the second rerun of those sites to correct the issues that were popping up and start putting some rounds on the board for themselves. Still obviously a close call on quite a few of the rounds. It did go all the way to round 15 after all, but once again, to no one's surprise, DarkZero takes it in OT as they've become the masters of controlling those final 3 rounds here in NA, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, another tip of the cap to Oxygen, honestly, because they fought so very hard today, tooth and nail, John. I mean, we saw some incredible plays coming out from both of these teams, with Eclipse hopping off of rafters and Laxing clutching up with knife kills. I mean, some amazing stuff inside of that series. So, you know, they did their damnedest, but it just wasn't enough today. Congratulations to DarkZero once again on that victory. But just remember, guys, they're not signed up for Mexico just yet.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for myself and Stokes for Game 3. We still have another game coming up, but of course we do have to go to a short break before we get to that. So stick with us, and when we come back, we'll have Veli and the rest of the desk breaking down this victory for DarkZero.
What does it take to call next? Follow us for a deep dive into the Rainbow Six community, breaking down barriers, taking you behind the scenes, and showing what it means to level up.
Dr. Ellis?
I told you, she's probably tanked.
Touch this door again, I'll shoot. Again.
Dr. Ellis? Hey, knock the damn lost, please. We need answers.
It didn't disappear.
What did you say? It didn't just... Shh, shh, shh.
What?
It's not Emerson Flint. It's one of you.
What the hell was that supposed to mean?
Okay, well,
What did her eyeball say?
look, we don't understand. Could you just please come out?
I'm afraid I can't do that, Ranger Wheeler. You could be one of them.
What is... Shh, 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 shh.
One of what?
A lycanthrope.
A what?
A werewolf.
The roads are effed. Something's wrong with the generator. Also, there's a dead body under your porch.
I'm gonna go get a croissant.
Out of curiosity, who is packing? We having a good old-fashioned sleepover.
With guns, though.
With guns, yes. Everybody's going, how the heck?
not littering. I'm just excited.
Not judging, just watching it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the NAL where DarkZero, they just did it again, fellas. Here on the analyst desk, I'm going to be your host, Veli, and I'm here with Jesse and Jacob. And it seems like DarkZero just loves these close moments, and they always come out on top.
Is this a curse? At this point, I'm convinced DarkZero aren't capable of winning a game in regulation. They have to force it to overtime, or they have to let the other team get it to overtime. They managed to let OXG win a bar stock defense in this game, Veli, and they still came back and won the thing. And they don't have a single regulation win, but they have 6 overtime wins, so that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know why we even play these games anymore. We could cut an hour and a half out of broadcast time if we just count the games that DarkZero play as overtime wins anyways, because we already know that's going to be the result. Incredible that they're managing to get this in 6 out of their 7 games played so far, and as they look towards next week, they might just get another overtime win. Insane from DarkZero. I do want to credit Auction. I think this was one of the best performances we've seen from them in a long time. I think they can be proud of this. As much as the meme might go and say this is foretold and was always going to be the case for DarkZero, you've always got to give credit to the team on the other end. Even if they're losing an OT, it takes a lot to bring a team like DarkZero this far.
And Jacob, ever since this team was rebuilt, we've been talking about the duo of Hyper and Pamba for so long, right? And take a look at the stats right now. 36 combined kills between the two and 17 deaths. That's incredible.
This is what we wanted. Honestly, this is what we wanted back when we thought it was going to be the Hyper NJR combo from a while ago.
I mean, even NJR is doing good, man.
That's true. Like, right behind him, he was playing Frost and a lot of Thermite because it was a double hard breach set from DarkZero. And I think this is kind of where you want your stats to sit overall. I do think NJR and Eclipse are kind of interchangeable in like that 4th, 5th position statistically for DZ in terms of how many kills they get. But still, Hyper and Panda, this is the ideal. This is exactly what DarkZero had in mind when they signed the young gun, and they knew that it would take him only a little bit of time to become a star. He has definitely come into his own this stage, and Hyper leading the way with a 20 bomb on OXG. That's just embarrassing if you're Oxygen.
It's crazy, but take a look at the opening kills as well. Laxing had a day, 17-9, 5-0, perfect on the day for that. But unfortunately, this team, they were short by 1 round, which is pretty crazy right now. But Jesse, let's talk about it, man. DarkZero, they're looking good, but you wanted to get into the particulars about how DarkZero play on attack.
Yeah, I think DarkZero and Attack are sort of showcasing their similar selves, right? They're always going a little bit slower than maybe most teams would like to go, but it's not inherently a bad thing because they've often got that information game. They've often got everything scoped out, and they're really just spending the majority of the round setting up, getting ready for their execute, and then their executes go really well. I know they went 3-3 on their first attacking half, but genuinely, like, you look at those first 2 rounds, Auction won on defense. I mean, it was what, a 1v3, barely denying the plants, and then, I mean, we relied on Laxton getting a 4K, and it was like a weird 2v2 post plant. So both those very easily could have gone towards DarkZero, and I really think it was coming down to the fact that DarkZero had like 6 drones up every single round. They had everybody alive in the last 30 seconds, and Auction really weren't doing a whole lot to challenge them. I think Auction have been pushed into this mindset where they need to play a little bit more passive on the roam because they've been punished in that area before when they overextend, but they're playing a little bit too much into that, and I really think DarkZero did a great job of using that free space to take advantage of OXG.
Yes, and Jacob, I mean, we could sit here and talk about all the bad things about Oxygen, right? But those boys know what's going on. But let's talk about a little bit of positive this time around. There was a specific site that was chosen that we don't see often, and as Jesse pointed out to Stokes, it was the first time it was ever won in the NAO.
Yeah, so I think he also mentioned in that call that it had been played at one other point at some time, like in the 2020 season, but it hadn't been won back then. So this is officially the first time in the North American League that Barstock has ever been won at any point. And I just thought it was worthwhile to bring up because there's a very good reason for why you don't try to defend that site. It requires the team who is attacking it to make a considerable amount of mistakes, just given the layout of the whole thing overall and how you traditionally set it up. Like, the cool part about this, though, is that not only were those mistakes made by DarkZero, but it was a situation where OXG almost seemingly let the plant get down and it turned into a retake scenario, and OXG came back from that because everyone on DarkZero was scrambling to find post-plant like situations or spots where they could hole up, and by the time they had those acquired, it was just a couple of shots from OXG. They came in, they all swung in as a group. There were about 2 or 3 players that came from the side of Bar itself, and then when they moved right in, they had Hyper dead to rights by front door, and everything was just a very clean sweep from there. It's not the most ideal scenario in which to defend that site because there's not really an ideal way to defend Bar stock, but still, they won it, and that does deserve notice.
So, unlike the other games today, this match right here, the winner didn't just automatically go straight to Mexico, but Jacob, what does this mean for Oxygen?
Well, we had a little bit of a mistake, I want to say, just so we can kind of correct ourselves. There wasn't any opportunity for OXG to qualify for the major even before that game started. So they are already done. Getting 2 points does put them above XSET more firmly because they used to be tied. But now the situation between Sonics, DarkZero, and Disrupt is a point difference, 13, 12, and 12. And if this doesn't set up games for next week like perfectly, I don't know what will.
Jesse, all the snickering right here. What are you laughing at, man?
Are
you laughing at the teams in the red right now?
No, I mean, no, I don't want to. I want to be too harsh on them, and I want to point out for a team like Oxygen Esports, like this win still does mean a lot to them because although they get 1 point, that's going to allow them to leapfrog Mirage in their next Playday, and that is a difference in SI points. I don't know the exact numbers, but for a team like Oxygen who got a ton of SI points back in Stage 1, they really need to keep on collecting them so that Stage 3 remains a viable opportunity for them to actually qualify to the 6th Invitational. So yeah, you know, Oxygen Esports, they never had a chance and we kind of goofed on that one, but they've still got a good opportunity to gain some more SI points than they otherwise would have been able to. And so this 1 point against DarkZero actually does mean quite a bit.
Now, one last thing before we get into the community poll, Jesse, Laxing went crazy that map. There are a few things you want to touch on, but that guy has just been incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk about Laxing because you look at the role structure on Oxygen, and usually when you've got to run double hard breach, you'll flex your flank watch off of that operator or whatever operator they'd like to play that secondary hard breach. But instead, what Oxygen do is they put Fox onto that role so that Laxing then can flex over to the sledge and be a little bit more aggressive while still doing the flank watch. It means he had a lot of jobs to accomplish. He had to open up the floorboards. He had to nade out utility. He had to watch the flank, but I thought he did all of them really well. There was one kryptonite. He had one weakness in that game, and it was actually NJR. And those last couple of rounds where NJR was able to get the better of him time and time again was one reason why I think we saw DarkZero do pretty well in overtime, and another reason why I think his stats were really good at the end there was because of those last couple of rounds when he was able to roam. But ultimately, I thought Laxing had a fantastic game. I wanted to highlight how he was able to do so many different jobs and do them all so well.
All right, so, fellas, it's time for the community poll, right? I don't like this situation. Oh, excuse me. Two former teammates meet again. Will Vertical or Eclipse pick up the most frags? And Jesse, looking at this situation right here, I don't like putting these two against each other. Who do you think won? And I'm going to let you know now, it is very close. One of the closest polls that we have had.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go with Vertical, I think. I think Vertical's been known more as a fragging player, whereas Eclipse has had his moments, but isn't really, I think, thought of in the same vein. But I'm interested to see the results.
Jacob, who you got?
If you're saying it's that close, I'll just pick Eclipse at this point and see if it swings the other way.
Jacob, you just get all of these right while Jesse just gets them wrong. 51% went to Eclipse, man. We might need to get Spawny back here. Oh, excuse me, it was Vertical. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. Yeah, there you go, Jesse.
Fine, let Jesse finally have a dub on the day. That's okay.
There we go. But fellas, we have one more game today. Jesse, do you believe in magic?
Exit magic? No, not against Space Station. Not in this context.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen. You never know. Exit, they're looking like a new team, but Space Station Gaming has turned into a dominant powerhouse roster inside of the NAL. Ever since this latest pickup of Hot and Cold, you do not want to miss this last series. So coming up next, we have our finale, Exit versus Space Station Gaming. We'll see you guys on the other side.